In the far reaches of the Andromeda Galaxy, nestled in the shadows of a dying star, lay a planet named Romulus. It was a world shrouded in mystery, its existence known only to a select few among the cosmic explorers. Romulus had once been a beacon of innovation, home to a race of hyper-intelligent beings who thrived on knowledge and creativity. But now, it was silent. Its skies, once vibrant with shimmering auroras, were muted. Its towering crystalline cities lay in ruins, overtaken by creeping vines and the weight of time. The galaxy whispered rumors about Romulus. Some said its people had ascended to a higher plane of existence, leaving their physical forms behind. Others believed a catastrophic experiment had wiped them out. But for Captain Lyra Vance, a human explorer with a penchant for the unknown, Romulus represented the ultimate enigma. Lyra had spent years chasing fragments of information about the planet. Her ship, the Stellar Nomad, was her sanctuary, equipped with state-of-the-art technology and a crew of misfits who shared her thirst for adventure. Together, they had braved black holes, asteroid fields, and interstellar politics to reach Romulus. Now, as the planet loomed large on their viewscreen, Lyra felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. "Prepare for descent," she commanded, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Her first officer, Kale, a lanky alien with iridescent skin, nodded. "Atmospheric conditions are stable, Captain. But I'm picking up strange energy readings. Nothing dangerous yet, but unusual." "Unusual is why we're here," Lyra replied with a smirk. "Take us in." As the Stellar Nomad pierced the planet's atmosphere, the crew was greeted by a breathtaking sight. Vast, crystalline forests stretched as far as the eye could see, their branches refracting light into a kaleidoscope of colors. Rivers of liquid silver carved through the landscape, and in the distance, the remnants of a magnificent city sparkled like a mirage. "This place is alive," whispered Tessa, the ship's biologist, her eyes wide with wonder. "Alive and waiting," Kale muttered, his tone uneasy. The crew landed near the outskirts of the city, their boots crunching on crystalline ground as they stepped out of the ship. Lyra's heart raced as she took in the towering spires and intricate carvings that adorned the ruins. Each structure seemed to hum with a faint energy, as if the city itself was aware of their presence. "Spread out," Lyra ordered. "Document everything. And stay alert." As they explored, the crew discovered remnants of the Romulans' advanced technology. Devices that defied explanation, glowing orbs that floated and pulsed with an internal light, and vast libraries encoded into crystalline panels. Tessa was particularly fascinated by the flora, which seemed to react to their movements, petals opening and closing as if in greeting. But it was Kale who made the most startling discovery. In the heart of the city, he stumbled upon a massive structure resembling a temple. Its entrance was guarded by two statues, each depicting a Romulan in flowing robes, their faces serene and wise. "Captain," Kale called through his communicator. "You need to see this." Lyra and the others hurried to his location. The temple's doors were slightly ajar, revealing a faint, golden glow within. Lyra's curiosity burned brighter than ever. "Let's go," she said, her hand resting on the hilt of her plasma pistol. Inside, the air was thick with an otherworldly energy. The walls were covered in intricate carvings that seemed to shift and change when viewed from different angles. At the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, upon which rested a spherical object emitting a soft, golden light. "What is it?" Tessa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "A memory core," Kale replied, his eyes wide with recognition. "It's a repository of knowledge. The Romulans must have left it behind." Lyra approached the pedestal cautiously. The moment her fingers brushed the sphere, a surge of energy coursed through her, and the chamber was flooded with light. Images and sounds filled her mind, scenes of Romulan life, their achievements, their struggles, and their ultimate fate. The Romulans had been a proud and curious people, always pushing the boundaries of science and philosophy. But their ambition had led them to a discovery that changed everything. Deep beneath their planet's surface, they had unearthed a substance they called Eternium, a material with the power to manipulate time and space. At first, Eternium brought prosperity. It fueled their cities, extended their lifespans, and allowed them to explore distant galaxies. But it also attracted the attention of a malevolent force, a race of parasitic entities known as the Umbra, who thrived on consuming energy and knowledge. The Umbra descended upon Romulus, corrupting the Eternium and turning it against its creators. The Romulans fought valiantly, using their advanced technology to repel the invaders. But the Umbra were relentless, and the Romulans realized they could not win. In a final act of desperation, the Romulan leaders devised a plan to seal their planet off from the rest of the galaxy. They infused the remaining Eternium with their collective consciousness, creating the memory core as a beacon for those who might one day uncover their story. As the visions faded, Lyra found herself back in the temple, the memory core still glowing softly in her hands. She felt a deep sense of responsibility. The Romulans had entrusted their legacy to her, and she couldn't let it end here. "We have to take this back to the Galactic Council," she said, her voice firm. The Romulans' knowledge could change everything. Kale nodded. "But we have to be careful. If the Umbra are still out there, then we'll be ready," Lyra replied, determination blazing in her eyes. As the crew prepared to leave Romulus, Lyra couldn't help but glance back at the city one last time. She felt a strange connection to this forgotten world, as if its story was now intertwined with her own. The journey ahead would be perilous, but she knew it was a journey worth taking. And so, the stellar nomad lifted off, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of a lost civilization, and the promise of a brighter future for the galaxy. The journey away from Romulus was anything but smooth. As the stellar nomad charted its course toward the Galactic Council's headquarters, the ship's sensors picked up an anomaly trailing them. Kale, seated at the navigation console, furrowed his brow as he studied the readings. "Captain, we're being followed," he announced, his voice tight with concern. Lyra stepped up beside him, her eyes narrowing. "Can you identify it?" Kale shook his head. "It's fragmented. Almost like it's not fully there. But it's definitely gaining on us." "The Umbra?" Tessa asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Could be," Kale replied grimly. "Or something worse." Lyra clenched her fists. "Divert all power to the engines. We're not stopping until we reach the council." The stellar nomad surged forward, its engines roaring as it pushed to maximum speed. But the anomaly persisted, its presence growing stronger with each passing moment. The crew could feel it now, an oppressive weight that seemed to seep into their minds, whispering doubts and fears. "It's trying to break us," Kale said, his voice strained. "We have to find a way to fight back." Lyra's mind raced. The memory core, it had to hold the key. She activated the ship's interface and connected the core to their systems. Instantly, the ship was flooded with a golden light, and the oppressive weight lifted. "What did you do?" Tessa asked, her voice filled with awe. "I think the Romulans left us more than just memories," Lyra replied. "Their knowledge is protecting us." But the respite was short-lived. The anomaly suddenly coalesced into a tangible form, a dark, writhing mass that loomed before the ship. It was the Umbra, and it had found them. The Umbra attacked with a ferocity that shook the stellar nomad to its core. Tendrils of darkness lashed out, seeking to envelop the ship and consume its energy. Lyra and her crew fought back, using every weapon and defensive measure at their disposal. "Target the tendrils," Lyra shouted. "Keep them away from the core." Kale's hands flew over the controls, firing bursts of plasma at the encroaching darkness. Tessa worked frantically to stabilize the ship's systems, while Lyra directed their efforts with unwavering determination. But the Umbra was relentless. It seemed to feed on their fear, growing stronger with each passing moment. Lyra knew they couldn't hold out much longer. "The core," she said suddenly. It's our only chance. Kale hesitated. You want to use it? We don't even know what it's fully capable of. We don't have a choice, Lyra replied. If the Umbra gets its hands on this knowledge, it's over for all of us. With a deep breath, Lyra activated the memory core. A surge of golden energy erupted from the ship, engulfing the Umbra. The dark mass writhed and screamed, its form disintegrating under the onslaught of light. The crew watched in awe as the Umbra was completely obliterated, leaving nothing but silence in its wake. The stellar nomad limped its way to the Galactic Council, the memory core safely secured in its vault. Lyra and her crew were hailed as heroes, their discovery sparking a new era of exploration and understanding. The knowledge of the Romulans transformed the galaxy, bringing advancements in technology, medicine, and philosophy. But Lyra knew the fight was far from over. The Umbra were still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for another opportunity to strike. As she stood on the bridge of her ship, gazing out at the stars, Lyra felt a renewed sense of purpose. The legacy of Romulus was now in her hands, and she was determined to honor it. Set a course for the unknown, she said, a small smile playing on her lips. Our journey is just beginning. And with that, the stellar nomad soared into the vast expanse of space, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.